Hello guys, this is Keys to the Truth. Today's video we're going to talk about the missing diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the secret diary that he allegedly wrote before he passed away. This is a video I've been meaning to do for a long time because it, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it holds several secrets for us to uncover. It's part of the big crossword puzzle of life and life's mysteries. So let's dive deep. Initially, we have, depending on the version that you have, I have this cover where it reads, and I'm going to read a bunch because, that's just the way it is when you're doing a review or a commentary on a book. And this one says, The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. First of all, his name is suspicious to me. And why? Because, what does a bird do? It flies to and fro, right? Here and there, back and forth. So he was a military man that flew out and about and like a little bird. So to me, that looks like a pseudonym right there. Now, this is not to say that you're going to throw the entire thing away and it's useless, pointless, like many of you think. Oh, he was a 33-degree Freemason. Then, we should probably throw the whole book away. I would say hold on to your horses because usually these secret societies, what they do is they hide some truth in with the lies. So the approach I take on this one and several other things in life is more of a clinical or a CSI crime scene investigator approach, where I come into a crime scene or a piece of evidence and I'm being told, hey, the person that did it is right there, or they passed away. The person that committed the crime or did this action, whatever it was, performed this deed, and they might have messed up the crime scene. They might have played around with it. We don't know. But I take that approach regardless. And in that sense, I'm still looking for clues. I'm still looking for, did you move a piece of furniture? Did you, step on the water? Is that your footprint? Did you leave a glove? Did you take something from the scene? Did you redact something? Did you add to it? Did you subtract to it? So even though all these things we know go through sensors and CIA handlers and all that, you gotta know who you're dealing with, because that way, just remember the art of war. So you know where their faults are. So, for example, one of their biggest faults is their arrogance, and ours too. Anybody's. But so if you see that, then you can know, they're so arrogant that they might just include some of the truth. They might just have left the body for me and even the murder weapon to find out, because they still think that even then they're going to get away with it. So knowing, what their complexes are, psychologically speaking, is half the battle. You see? All right. So from the front page, in the cover, in this version that I have, we see one of the old North Pole maps, that it's got the Hyperborea in the north, in the center, and it's got the 4 islands with the 4 rivers, and it's got the Mount Meru, aka that big Rupes Nigra. Okay, it's supposed to be a magnetized mountain where all the compasses in the world are pointing to, and that's a fact. So what I'm saying is that when you're connecting the dots and you're doing the crossword puzzle of these mysteries, when you start, you get an M here, you get an A there, you get a letter here, you start filling these out, it's going to help you with the others. And I'm going to come back to that later. But while I'm reading this book, I'm not just using the book itself as a reference. I'm using a lot of other ancient texts, independent research, our own observation, and several other keys to the truth. Okay? So each key to the truth is going to be like a word in that crossword puzzle. All right? So let's keep going. All right? So here below the title, it says, A Secret Expedition and Journey to a Paradise Inside the Earth. Notice the play on words. These people are liars, but they also love half-truths. You got to know that. So when they're saying it's a secret expedition, okay, that could be true. A journey, of course, it's a journey. A paradise, okay. Key West is a paradise. Hawaii is a paradise, all right? So inside the earth. If you're like a gullible, ignorant reader, you might think, oh, they're talking about inner earth and something beneath, the earth's crust. Or they could be using a play of words, double entendre there, and they could be meaning inside the earth as inside the earth realm, right? So be careful with those things, okay? Be careful that you're not understanding something where they're trying to lead you astray. So this could be a perfectly truthful statement inside the earth because they're not going outside of the firmament. You see the play on words? Let's go to the back cover for now, and then we'll go inside the book. All right. Famous explorer, it's got a picture of him there. Famous explorer enters a vast unknown world populated by superhumans. Notice that he's going to use that term superhumans. Why would you use the term superhumans? And we'll keep that in memory, in your mind, when we get to that point, because he describes them as human. Like they're perfectly, exactly, physically, anatomically the same. Anthropomorphs, okay? But here they're saying superhumans. So that's pretty strange. So just keep that in mind. I'll get back to it. And then they have a little expert of the book. And so let's read it. I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight of 19th day of February in the year of 1947. There comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. A world which has hopefully discarded the greed and exploitation of mankind can no longer suppress that which is the truth. Richard E. Byrd, Admiral, U.S. Navy. So there's a lot going on here, guys. Again, from this perspective that I'm telling you, a crime scene perspective. The first one, I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. That's exactly what somebody doing that would say. Okay? It concerns my Arctic flight. He's talking about going to the North Pole because that's the Arctic. And you'll find out later in the text that he talks about going to the Antarctic, which is what we call the South Pole near South America. So there's either a mix-up going on here by mistake, which I do not think is the case, or it's intentional, or it's been redacted, you see? So you can start finding the fingerprints here of maybe the original or somebody messing with it. Again, this could be a complete work of fiction. He might have been an actor. He might have not even been a real military guy. We don't know. I mean, we can look at the bio all we want. We can look at his interviews online that still exist, clips of him. But that doesn't make it so. So we have to be, I know, very skeptical. Yet we still have to connect the dots with other pieces of evidence and see where they fit. He also says here, there comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance. What he's saying there is that what we know or what we think we know, what we refer to as rationality, is insignificant. compared to the truth. And that's really powerful. And that sounds like something somebody would write when they're trying to convey a message to you in code. I can relate because I do it all the time here on this channel and in my personal life. When there's some taboo subjects that you cannot speak about because it's the hoax of the moment, not that I don't know about them, but you kind of dance around to them and let whomever has the decode keys be able to decrypt it. Anyway, let's continue. He's saying, I'm not at liberty to discuss. Okay, that's exactly what you would write. Public scrutiny, maybe it shall never see the light. But he's saying it's his duty to record it. And this is exactly the point. Like, remember the Bible tells us, be wise as serpents, but gentle as doves. And this is exactly, you got to have this ability to put yourself in the shoes of the wrongdoers. But you're not going to do the wrong. You're going to do the right. So if I were a censor and if I want one of these, evil people, and I were to read, but I must do my duty and record here, I would burst out laughing here. And I would let this go out in public. And I would keep redacting and messing it up, but I would keep that. Because that would be my joke, my duper's delight for people reading this, thinking it's fiction, but in reality it's true. And then I'm leading them astray with a bunch of other lies. You see how they work? That's how their twisted mind works. I'm sorry, mine works the same, but I'm very lucky and thankful and humbled by God's grace showing me the right path. Anyway, let's continue. And he's talking about a world of greed and exploitation. So, that's exactly where we live, right? And he's talking about the suppression of the truth. Like, guys, what are we living right now? We're living complete, all-out suppression of the truth in every aspect. So, again, there's little bits in there that show me that this is a truthful writing, an honest writing of somebody, but it shows heavy signs of redacting by handler. You see my point? So, okay, let's go inside the book, all right? So we have some pictures here. So, like the cover, we have the cover pictures. And then we have this this image of the inner Earth and the Agartha theory and some continents inside the Earth and the Earth being spherical. We know it's not that shape. We know that it's not spherical in nature. So that's a fact right there. So what we can glean from this, and this is not even part of the text, all right? So what they're writing here is, can it be possible that down in the middle of the earth, there is another earth? There are a few hundred miles or so away, separated from us by ground and rock and vapor, such things. There's a great country inhabited by a great race. So who the heck is writing this? If it's not in the diary, why would you put this in there? Why would you even put this image in there? Like, do you want to get huge hooray from the crowd or what? This is what I'm telling you. This is the little stupid things that they put in there to kind of brainwash you. So they're doing some of their brainwashing tricks right here. They're throwing an image at you. Images are really powerful. You got to be careful of symbols and images because they go deep into your subconscious, which is not really your subconscious, but it's your soul. There's no subconscious. Remember, Freud was a Freemason and a fraud. Fraud. That's why they use those pseudonyms, guys. Jung was also a Freemason. The red and the blue book. It's crystal clear. So all of psychoanalysis and psychotherapy is Luciferian doctrine in disguise. I'm not giving you any kind of health or mental advice here of any kind, but I'm just talking about literature, okay, and ideologies. So do your proper research. Now, if you're having such issues and you need guidance, seek professional guidance. But I would recommend seek truthful guidance in the sense of spiritual closeness to God and your soul. Okay? So anyway, let's carry on. Let's start here. The exploration flight over the North Pole. That's the first page. Okay. But before that, there's some more text that he didn't write, or at least they're not claiming that he wrote here, but somebody did, maybe the editor. It says, the missing diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, recreation of Admiral Richard Byrd's historical flight planned by the International Society for a Complete Earth. Readers of this diary who wish additional information on the Hollow Earth theory are instructed to write. Like, why are you saying Hollow Earth? At no point in the diary does Byrd even mention Hollow Earth. He doesn't even say the word hollow. So you see how they're leading you, but they're staying with the diary. So let's say Byrd did write a diary, and you find and he dictated it to whomever was with him at the time, close to his death, or he wrote it way before and he had it in a lockbox and then he gave it to somebody before he passed away, or they found it after he died. There's so many possibilities, but the thing here is, guys, is keep your eye on the ball. Is let's say you find it, okay, and so the Navy or the intelligence community is going to come like, hey, I mean, let's have a look before the funeral, before the service. Let's look at what's there. Did he leave anything, any pieces of evidence, any magic crystals, any books, any secret journal? Oh, here's the secret journal, right? So what do we do with it, guys? Do we throw it away? Do we keep it on the lock? Well, these guys know about the laws of karma. They know about the cosmic laws. So they might be so arrogant as to think, well, if we keep it locked up and all that, the karma is going to manifest in some unforeseen way, and we might, get some slack for it, or this truth might come out in some other unforeseen way. So that's why they let a lot of these things slide. Okay, so it's kind of like a pent-up river, which is there's a lot of pressure, a lot of water, a lot of rain, and if you don't let the water flow release, it's going to burst the dam. So they kind of let it slide a little bit, but they're going to redact it heavily, right? So that's some of the thinking that goes on behind this. There's a calculation. So they're going like, oh no, let's release it because the guy wanted to release it. But just give it to our censor department or, our handler department here in the intelligence community, and we'll redact it heavily. We'll add some things, we'll take some things away, and then you can publish it. No problem. After we're done with it, everybody's going to either think it's a work of fiction, or they're going to think it's nonsense, or they're going to think it's disinformation. Because it is disinformation. We're taking the good information and we're adding 50% disinformation or whatever percentage. You see how their brains work? That's how they work, okay? So knowing that, then you kind of can decode or decrypt what they're trying to hide and what they're trying to push on you, okay? What they're trying to conceal and what their agenda might be in this case. So there's that word hollow earth. And let's say, organizing, the Society also wishes to announce that they are organizing a reenactment of Admiral Byrd's historical flight, leaving from Reykjavik, Iceland. Again, I mean, keep that in mind. There's these clues, and then later in the book, he's leaving from freaking South America. Okay? So let's keep that together. Why they're going back and forth between the North Pole and the South Pole. At the end of the day, it's claimed that he took both flights. He took both treks. Okay? But not at the same time, and they're not talking about it at the same time. Okay? He took some trips to the North Pole, allegedly, and he took some trips to the South Pole, allegedly. But the thing is, it wasn't the same one trip. It was different trips. And here, if you're reading this and you're not looking, you might get tripped up, okay? The flight will be filled with mystery and the potential of discovery. It will follow precisely the route taken by the Admiral and his crew. Each landmark will be pointed out, indicating the stress, excitement, and frustration that the Admiral was experiencing in the diary's log. All right, so let's continue. The exploration flight over the North Pole. Again, it's saying North Pole here. Keep that in mind. Then we have a picture of the guy, and then he writes, I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight of the 19th day of February in the year of 1947. Right? We wrote that on the back flap again. Now we have another picture of the ball. We have another picture of a huge ball here. Completely false, completely fake. Okay? There we have, and they have this because they didn't have, remember, they didn't have the Photoshop back then. So it says here, the Earth as it would appear if viewed from space. Oh my God. And all that, and then they have this hole at the North Pole, which they're trying to hide completely what we have in the North Pole. I've already told you what there is there. We have the giant tree avatar of God, just like it says in the Bible. I am the vine, you are the branches. Go read it, and it mentions the tree of life several times, over and over and over again. Okay? So this is not a video about that, but I'm telling you what there is at the North Pole, and that's a fact. And I have all the evidence for it. I'll do a video on that. I'll do several. Anyway, let's carry on. There comes a time when the rationality of man must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. Okay, we read that. We have a picture of them with a flag posing. This might have been taken anywhere. You could take this in Canada. You could take this in Alaska. You could take this in Wisconsin in the winter. So let's continue. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. Right. So he's saying he's got a gag order. All right, let's continue. Now we have a picture. And where is that picture from? Tell me. If you've been following along the video, tell me, what is that picture of? It's Antarctica, or what they tell us that Antarctica is, which is completely bogus. It's hoax. It's nonsense. And it's the South Pole. And there's a legend here that says Byrd Antarctic expedition. So which one is it? Is it Arctic or is it Antarctic? Is it the North Pole or is it the South Pole? Why do you keep changing things up? Because they're trying to mess with us. Okay? And if this were a complete hoax, a complete work of fiction, you wouldn't mess those details. You see my point? Anyway, in a world of greed and exploitation of certain of mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth. This is a weird sentence. It's not even grammatically correct. In a world of greed and exploitation of certain of mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth. It's not even properly written. So you see that it's been heavily redacted and poorly edited. He's talking about a certain of mankind. So he's talking about a certain element within mankind. And we know all about that now. These things are coming to light. People are waking up. A lot of people are awake. And more are waking up by the day. Some will never wake up. I realize that. But, we still have to, do our part. Do our duty to God, to ourselves, and to our fellow human beings that are willing, and humble enough to hear it, that, they've been wrong and that we need to change our ways. All right? So we have much to learn, So here also you can see it's got, it's showing the trajectory from like what appears to be DC in this map to South America, way down south, around Chile, Argentina, and then it starts the triangle trek out to the Antarctic. But then I'll dive deeper into that and I'll tell you where he really went, in my opinion. And then he's got a photograph here with a little puppy dog. And then flight log. Then we get to the interesting part. So let's see. Flight log, base camp, Arctic, February 19, 1947. Again with the Arctic, Antarctic. You see how they're messing with us here? Then we got a plane. It's got something written on the side. I can't make it out. It says expedition. Okay. And then 0600 hours, all preparations are complete for our flight northward, and we are airborne with full fuel tanks at 0610 hours. Now, if he's taken off from the Arctic, well, yeah, he's traveling north. But even if he's taken off from the southern tip of Chile or Argentina, near to Tierra del Fuego or Ushuaia, he could be heading north, but it would be a northwest direction, in my opinion. Then we have a picture of the Admiral here giving us hand signal, Masonic hand signal. Byrd, Antarctic Expedition 2, Condor 41, Curtis Wright. And it appears to be a different plane. It's a completely different plane than the other picture. So these are just pictures that are just thrown in there. They're not part of the diary. 0620 hours, fuel mixture on starboard. Engine seems too rich. Adjustment made, and Pratt Whitney's are running smoothly. He's talking about the engines. Everything's running perfectly. Everything's running smoothly. Another picture of him here. 0730 hours, radio check with base camp. All is well, and radio reception is normal. So, did he say that he took off? He's not even saying that he took off, okay? So you can already see, why wouldn't he include that? If he's being so methodical, why would he not include the taking off? If this diary had not been redacted, it would be there. But you can clearly see that it has been redacted. And they took off several things between 0620 and 0730 a.m., which is suspicious. Why would you take all that off? Because they're trying to hide some stuff. They're trying to hide, headings. They're trying to hide speeds, a bunch of other information. But so just here, I think we can assume if he's already testing the engine as 0620, he's not going to stay idling there for an hour, right? So let's say he took off 10 minutes. Do you want to call it 10 minutes? So at 0630 he took off. Maybe he took off somewhere between 0620 and 0730. I'm gonna guess it's closer to the earlier one, because you're not gonna stay idling there when fuel is when your life's depending on that fuel, which is hard to get wherever you are there in the Arctic or the Antarctic. So 0730, he's probably had a good 60 minutes up in the air. Radio check with base camp, all is well, and radio reception is normal. You wouldn't be doing a radio check unless you're already airborne. So there. 0740 hours, note slight oil leak in the starboard engine. Oil pressure indicator seems normal, however. Okay. He doesn't seem to make a big fuss about it. 800 hours, slight turbulence noted from easterly direction. At altitude 2321 feet, correction to 1700 feet. No further turbulence, but tailwind increases. Slight adjustment in throttle controls. Aircraft performing very well now. So he's happy with the aircraft. He's flying pretty low. He's nowhere near 10,000 feet. He's getting some slight turbulence from the east. Tailwind is increasing. If he's getting turbulence from the east and he's getting a tailwind increase, they might be coming from the same direction. I'm not saying that's entirely the case, but it's a possibility. He could be having turbulence from either side, but if he's saying the tailwind is increasing, the wind is coming from the tail, and he's saying the turbulence is coming from the east, that might mean, I'm not saying this is 100%, but it might be a preponderance of evidence that he's heading in a western direction. You see my point? And so he's got a tailwind that's giving him some turbulence, and the tailwind is increasing. So he's heading west. Why would you head west from say Alaska or Canada or anywhere, or Greenland or anywhere up in the Arctic? Makes no sense. It would make sense though if you're in South America, way down south, and I'll show you here in a minute on the plasma moon map what's west of South America. Okay, and we're gonna get to the finally uncovering these mysteries. Okay, so he might have started north, but then he veered west probably. They didn't include that here, but you can deduct that from here. And this is the kind of thing that you're saying, oh, keys to the truth. You think you're smarter than everybody? You think you're smarter than these guys, the censors or the intelligence people trying to fool us? Well, you are smarter than them. That's why you're not deluded. That's why you're listening to this channel, because you've been graced by God. If you're listening to this channel, you're in the top 0.001% of the most awake people in the world, period. Okay? And the most blessed people, for that matter. So hit the like button, subscribe, please share, download the video if you think it's worthy. You can re-upload, mirror it wherever you want, and share it with folks. Also, be sure to bookmark my upcoming website, keystoTheTruth.com. I know I've been saying that forever. I've never launched it because I have it on backup should my YouTube fail. I also have a HugeTube. That's UGE, HugeTube. That's already active as a backup. So be sure to check that out. I got some content on there that I can't post here. Not too much. I'll keep doing more. I've just been very blessed. Since I started this channel, my brains exploded. My soul's exploded with the blessings of God. Like, from the view count and from the subscribers count, you know this is not monetization. So I'm doing this because I need to do it, and I feel compelled by God to do it and share it. Of course, I share it with my immediate friends and family, but if I can reach at least 100, 500 people, I think that's a win in my book. Anyway, God bless you guys, and let's carry on. So next up, we have a picture of Byrd, a poster, a promotional poster with Byrd at the South Pole. So you see how they're still messing with us? And they keep doing it constantly because they know that we're mind screwed. I don't want to say the other word, but you know what I mean. We've been brainwashed. We've been bamboozled. So wake up, people. The only one that can wake you up, though, is God. So you need to realize that and get right with Him. Drama of human daring and courage at the bottom of the world. Actually filmed in the vast unknown of the Antarctic. A Paramount picture. So they even made a picture of that. I've never seen it, though. I've seen some of the South Pole promotional films. Anyway, let's keep going. 08:15 hours. Radio check with base camp. Situation normal. Okay, so he's normal. And if we're saying he took off at 6:30, he's already about 2 hours in the air. 2 hours airtime. 08:30. Turbulence encountered again. Increased altitude 2,900 feet. Smooth flight conditions again. Again, this is rather low. But by today's standards, it might be par for the course in the cold regions. And then we have a picture here of a ball with a hole. The hole that they don't want you to see. You see how it's a symbol, and it's meant to make an imprint on your soul that there's a hole there, that there's a nothingness there, there's a void there, that there's a nil. The root Sanskrit root for ni, like nirvana, means nothingness. So it's the nothingness, it's the void, it's the 0 point, it's the shunya, it's the zero, it's the nothing. But what's the opposite of the nothing? Tell me. It's the everything. It's the one. It's the ekam. It's the I am. It's the tree of life. You see? So if you know how these people think, you can beat them at their own game, buddy. Let's continue. 09:10 hours. Vast ice and snow below. Note coloration of yellowish nature and dispersed in a linear pattern. Altering course. A better examination, of this color pattern. Below. Note reddish or purple color also. So he's starting to see a bunch of colors outside of the white or the blue of the ocean or the white of the snow and the ice. And he's about 3 hours headed west. Let's see how fast that airplane flies. Give me a moment. All right, so just from looking at Google, I gather that these types of engines, the Pratt Whitney's double propeller airplane, can fly between 250 and 400 miles per hour. I'm no expert on airplanes, even though I've done some videos on airplanes. But I'm no expert on flying these types of aircraft. My point is, though, if you have 3 hours in the air and you're flying around 300, 400 miles an hour, and remember, this is a military-grade plane. This is not your average, hobby or amateur plane. This is a military-grade by the top explorer of his time. So it's going to be upgraded. He might even be flying faster. So he's going to have several upgrades on there to avoid the cold weather, to avoid turbulence, to avoid backup instruments of all sorts, communications backups of all sorts, et cetera, better engines, everything. So I'm going to go with the 400 miles per hour. But if you have other opinions, and if you're an expert in the subject, please comment and let me know your thoughts. So if he's going due west, 400 miles an hour, in 3 hours, that's 1,200 miles, 1,200 miles that he's covered. That's the distance between New York and Miami. So in the span of a few pages here, which they're kind of lulling you to sleep with the big print and not too much detail, we can still make out that he's traveled the distance, close to the distance of New York to Miami in this time. And so that's a huge distance. Just see how many people, how many cities, how many roads, how many towns are there between New York and Miami. So if he's traveling across the ice and the ocean due west from the tip of South America, or from the base stations that they have down there in the Falklands, or if they have down there in the Rothschild Islands, or New Schwabenland, or wherever, he's already 1,200 miles due west. If you take the regular map at face value, there's nothing there. But that's where exactly this piece of evidence is going to coincide precisely with the plasma moon map. And if you see that moon map, it has a lot of interesting things, and it's matching perfectly with what we're seeing on the Earth. But anyway, let's keep going. Circle this area 2 full turns and return to assigned compass heading. Position check made again to base camp, and relay information concerning colorations in the ice and snow below. So if you're seeing colorations in the ice, it might be due to lichens, it might be due to fungi, it might be due to several things. Or it might be flora, Then we have a picture of the Admiral, and what's behind him? It's a map of Antarctica, of the Antarctica hoax. So he is covering for the Antarctica hoax. You see how the symbology is here, and you have the Masonic hand posture there. He's got the wings because he's a bird. Anyway, 0910 hours. Both magnetic and gyro compasses begin to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Take bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. So he's good on the cold, he's good on the icing, on the cake. But his instruments have gone haywire. That might be due to many things. It might be malfunction, which I do not think is the case, but it can happen. It could also be due to electromagnetic anomalies, such as we experienced in Key West. Remember that? Be sure to watch my video there on Key West, what it really is. And Bermuda Triangle, North Pole. There's different latitudes and longitudes that have different magnetic fields and different electric fields. So remember, we're both inside a magnetic field and we're inside an electric field. It's both at the same time, but they're different fields. And that's what makes things fall down. Be sure to watch my video, Why Hot Air Rises, where I expose that gravity is not true, but density and buoyancy is not true either. They're both lies. They're fake Hegelian dialectic. The truth is, you're being magnetized and de-electrified at the same time. And that's what causes things to fall. But watch the video. It's an hour long. Anyway, so he might be encountering an anomaly in the field there, a natural one, or it might be an artificial one that is being made by a super advanced intelligence that is precisely trying to keep him away, keep visitors away. Just like in the movies they portrayed, like Skull Island with King Kong or the Wonder Woman, where you can find the place because it's hidden. Well, if you were super advanced and you were surrounded by idiots, I mean, the first line of defense wouldn't be to shoot them down, especially if you're a pacifist. You would, first of all, just, try to steer them away. Make the road go left, make the road go right, so they don't run into you, because you don't want nothing to do with them. Anyway, 15 hours. In the distance is what appears to be mountains. So he's found land. He's found land, and he's around 3 hours into the flight. A little shy of 3 hours into the flight. Remember, you had him taking off around 06:30, 09:15. He spots mountains from the air. So the distance between Miami and New York, and he's seeing a continent, an island that shouldn't be there. It should be all open water or ice, either one. But he's seeing already something that's not on the charts, that's not documented, that shouldn't be there, that's been hidden, that's been occulted from us. 9:49 hours, 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. They are mountains and consisting of a small range that I have never seen before. All right, so it's fact. He sees these mountains and he confirms that it's not mirage. 09:55 hours, altitude change to 2950 feet, encountering strong turbulence again. All right, probably due to the mountains. I'll do a video of what the mountains are. I don't want to get sidetracked here. 10:00 hours in the morning, we are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range, it would happens to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the certain portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. So it's got flowing water. There's no ice. There might be ice on the mountaintops, but he's seeing a green valley. And this is, he's probably around 1,400 to 1,500 miles off of the coast of South America here. He's saying north. It could be northwest-ish direction. We should be over ice and snow to the port side and our great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth because they're getting jammed. Let's see when was the last contact with the radio base? That he mentions that before the controls go haywire. So the last he mentions is radio check 0815. And at 1 hour later at 0910, his instruments fail. And he doesn't mention radio anymore. So you would think that's been taken out of the diary. Absolutely, it's been taken out. He would be writing that here. Like, we cannot make contact with base camp. Base camp, where are you? And that's completely gone. There's nothing regarding that. And that's exactly what you'd be doing. You'd be reporting this back home. And but you're carrying on, because your mission is to go where no man has gone before. allegedly. 10:05 hours. I alter altitude to 1400 and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of thick knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible. Yet there it is. A mammoth. Unbelievable. But notice before the mammoth, which is pretty incredible, pretty insane, but before that, he's noticing that he can see perfectly. He's got no complaints about the sun going down. And it's 10 freaking in the morning. So if you're not flying in the winter at the South Pole, you're flying in the summer, you're going to have sunlight all freaking day. So at 10 in the morning, there should be no qualms with the sunlight. But he's saying that he can't see the sun anymore. The light here seems different. That's very, very suspicious, guys. So keep that in your mental notes. And we might come back to that in this video or another video. That's very weird. And that, to me, would speak of super advanced technology, which is not technology. Remember, technology is bogus. It's not. Everything runs on magic, on God's magic. Absolutely everything. This microphone, this computer, your cell phone, your screen. It's all crystal magic. Magic of the Creator, magic of God, magic of Christ, who makes the crystals. That's why they all have the same root word. Root phoneme. But again, that's a mystery right there. We're going to have to delve deeper into that on another video. Anyway, decrease altitude to 1,000 feet. He's really low now on a plane. And take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. He's saying he's reporting it, but he's not saying it that he got a reply. So that's also something we should note here. And then we have another picture of Paramount newsreel men with Admiral Byrd in Little America. 10:30 hours. He's got 4 hours in the air. 4 times 4 is 600. 16, sorry. So 1,600. That's a huge distance. Let me tell you how long that is. That's a 4-hour flight right there. That's the distance between New York and Denver, Colorado. So over half of the U.S., he's already traveled. This is no small feat. He's not making circles around the ice here, is what I'm telling you. Okay? He's traveling huge distances into unknown territory. So you have to keep that in mind. So 10:30 hours, encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in the 20s in Celsius. Continuing on our heading now. Navigation instruments seem normal now. So he's past the jamming. They kind of like gave up on him. They probably scanned him. And they know what he's carrying. With echolocation and super advanced magic, they can tell exactly, like do a radio. So if we can do it, they can do it better. So they know what he's carrying. If he's carrying weapons of any sort, whatever he's carrying, they know he's not a threat. He has no bombs or whatever. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. Now they're admitting it. You see? But I caught that since 2 hours ago. I caught that since last he made the contact. So you see how, the last contact he wrote was at 8:15 hours, and he's admitting it here at 10:30, or at least the sensors are allowing it to show in the diary that's reaching us. You see? But I knew it. So this is, I'm showing you how you can find truth even within the lies. Okay? I am puzzled over their actions. Now, that's a puzzling statement in itself. What do you mean you're puzzled over their actions? Whose actions? The mammoths? The ice? The green grass? The mountain? Whose actions? He's ascribing actions to somebody, to a being, to a sentient being. And that's very suspicious. So there's more redaction here. So he's puzzled by the actions of who? Or what? Attempt to contact the base. Radio not functioning. Okay, why did I tell you? I told you, didn't I? I told you. All right, let's keep... Everybody hates that phrase. Sorry. I mean, nobody likes to be told, I told you so. Okay, sorry. Okay. Encountering more rolling green hills. Back to that. the navigation instrument. So they gave up on him, and he's telling you that he's telling us that he's puzzled because at first they were jamming him. They were trying to like dissuade him from finding this hidden continent, this hidden civilization, super advanced crystal magic civilization. But then they kind of let up. So like, okay, let him in. We'll have a little sit down. We'll have a little come to Jesus with the guy. Let's see what he's about. Right. So let me tell you the distances in European terms, just if you're a listener from there. So in European terms, it's around the distance between Paris and Warsaw. I mean, that's pretty much all of Europe. It's not all of Europe, but it's a lot of Europe. So just so you know how long he's been flying, it's away. Anyway, 1130 hours, one more hour. All right. So that's 400 more miles. So if he was at 1600, he's already at 2,000 miles. I mean, that's almost LA to New York. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word. So he's saying it's completely abnormal. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. These are the famous TikToks. Or Tic Tacs. Sorry, TikToks is a different thing. Tic Tacs. Okay? We have some of this technology now. We've developed it. And they're kind of slowly easing us into that Project Bluebeam hoax. So you got to be really careful not to fall for that. Because this technology is readily available. And you see it in every single day in the clouds. So be sure to check out my video, How Clouds Float. Be sure to also check out my video, Why Hot Air Rises. So 2,000 miles, guys. That's the size of the U.S. That's the size of Europe almost. And he's spotting a city, and the aircraft has been taken over by like a tractor beam of sorts. They are disc shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a type of, you can read that. I'm not going to say it out loud just because of what's happening. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We're caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. So you have these very super advanced craft flying along him. And that symbol, I'm going to do a video of that about what it means. But I'll tell you right now what it means. Like, Su is the root word of super in Sanskrit. And Azteca is the same word as Aztec. And that means somebody that's faithful to God. So a Su Azteca is somebody that's very, very devoted to God. But the bad people used it to denote fanaticism, because that was their evil intent. But here, that symbol is also meaning the stars revolving around the tree of life around Polaris. That's what that symbol means. And the word means somebody that is completely devoted to God. That's what it means in Sanskrit. Do not fall for false etymologies, please. 11:35 hours. A radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what appears is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You are in good hands now." Okay, well, they seem friendly. Nordic or Germanic accent. That's quite suspicious. Now remember, the Nordic and Germanic languages, Russian languages, they're all very similar. The Slavic, they're all pretty much Sanskrit with a different accent. And I'll show that in a different video. So is English. So is Portuguese. So is Spanish. All the languages come from Sanskrit. They have so many playlists on that on my channel. Be sure to check them out. But especially the Nordic and the Germanic. Like Heim is home in German, and Heim also means ice and snow in Sanskrit. Anyway, I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. Or okay, he already knew that before. He just kept trying, but he gave up at some point on the controls. 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing process now. And in moments, the plane suddenly shudders slightly and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down with only a slight jolt. So there's no pullover here. There's no we're gonna shoot you down like we have here under the UN demonic flag, which is the devil. They're telling him relax. Their welcome is the first word. Welcome, Admiral, and in his language. They're not playing that game where they're speaking a different language and like, oh, you don't speak our language, you're screwed. No, they're speaking another language, and they said, welcome to our domain. That's pretty interesting, our domain, where they rule. Okay? And it could also be an electromagnetic domain, and that's why he couldn't see the sun anymore, because they might have a little bubble there. And you could create a crystal magic bubble where you can't even see through it, that you can't have any communications through it. They're completely hidden from our world. That's why our communications or spy planes or spy Google Loon satellites can't even pick them up, because they're under a cover, just like in Wonder Woman, with advanced magic, crystal magic. So they're telling him that to relax, you're in good hands, very peaceful, very loving, just like a super advanced intelligence would be, that has such advanced magic that and technology, if you want to call it that, they're not even threatened by anything. You see my point? And they tell him the timetable, 7 minutes. They do that very purposefully, and you do that when you're queuing somebody and you're lining up somebody, and you want them to feel at ease. So what's going to happen? That's the immediate thing. Your defensive mechanisms, and he can't flee because he's under the grip of their tractor beam anyway. But they could have still been jerks about it. If these two craft were, imagine they're like low level, people, just low level pilots, and they're having a bad day and they want to mess with they could have messed with a guy like big time. Like, who are you? What are you doing here? We're gonna shoot you down. Like in another language, and then they switch to English. So if they knew English, or how do they know that he spoke English? Because they monitored his communications. They were monitoring him before he even took off. You see how you can kind of reach these conclusions? I mean, they're probably monitoring all our communications. Like, you think Big Brother is bad, but these guys, if they're there, which it looks like they're there, I mean, they just want to keep a pulse on what the heck we're doing over here. Because we're pretty crazy, let's face it. He says he touched down, and very gentle. They could have, I mean, man, I would even, honestly, I would even screw the guy a little bit. Just to get but I'm joking, If it's things, they probably took this seriously, and they didn't want to mess with the guy. And because, this makes for a lot of jokes. You could have joked with a guy so much, even if you're not a bad person. But they seem to be very nice and very gentle with the guy. Touchdown was awesome.